Today, we're going to talk about, as a man, how to talk to other men. Whoa, pause. Not what I meant. Being a man, this is how, I think you should talk to a man if you are a female. Or another man wanting to catch another man's eye, I guess. And we're gonna be playing 2.3 cycle, with goblins in barrel, and just a whole lot of love. But, I guess the main thing to start off with here would be that everyone, like, every single person is going to be different. And depending on which type of person you are pursuing, you know, it might be a little different for you. And I mean that as in, if you are pursuing someone who is outgoing, or someone versus someone who is very not outgoing, as in an introvert, you're going to have a very different type of interaction with them. And I mean that in as someone who is maybe a little more extroverted is going to be a little more vocal, right? As makes sense, right? And I think the biggest thing there with that is that knowing if they are introverted or extroverted, and like share things about them, or they keep to themselves a little bit more, it's a good way to get a feel for how they might act if you decide to, let's say, strike up a conversation. As in, someone who is introverted is less likely to go up to someone and start up a conversation. And obviously the opposite can be said about an extrovert, is they are going to strike up a conversation. And, you know, nothing wrong with either. Everybody has their different reasons for why they are that way or whatever. And I think it's wonderful that there is different types. But if you're going for someone who is introverted, like myself, the thing is about introverts is they have to kind of be pushed in order to become all chatty. And I mean that is in, like, they're not going to right away be the one to necessarily ask the questions right away, compared to an extrovert, which will more than likely strike up a conversation and all that. And it's chill. And the thing with that is, if you feel like you're not, like, getting a good conversation out of them, it might be because they are an introvert and they aren't one to go out of their shell to do something like that. And you know, I think a big thing though is if you are interested in someone, like an extrovert will come out of their shell a little bit, and typically if they're not like a crazy extrovert and they like maybe can strike up a little bit of a conversation or whatever, then you're going to get someone who man, that card is so good. Forgot about it. How good that is. Honestly, I just completely lost my train of thought there. I think mainly though that someone who's an extrovert, we're not gonna break through here, are we? Someone who's an extrovert will obviously make more effort, I think, right away. But I think an introvert, will, over time, once they get to know you, put in a lot more effort. Now to talk to them is a different story because, like, yeah, you want to strike up a conversation, but a lot of women these days are wanting the men to start a conversation, but I think that's such a stupid standard because, one, what are we doing? We're in 2026. Make some moves. At the same time, like, I do understand that, like, okay, yeah, you do want them to strike a conversation, be a little bit interested in you, but a lot of guys, like, they don't get much play compared to women. It's a lot easier for a woman to get guys talking to them than for a man to have a woman strike up conversation with them. And I think that's the biggest thing here is if you go up to a man and try and show that you're interested here and you're like, oh, it's just not enough, blah blah blah, but in reality that's probably the most he's ever been talked to, because there's so many guys who just don't talk to anyone. And I think the biggest thing here is especially if they're in oh my golly, if they're an introvert, they are especially going to have very few interactions with men or women. So I think that's another huge thing to take into consideration here, because like I said, men are just like, you know, sometimes it's hard out here for men, you know? Not saying it's not hard out there for women, but I think that men are quite unlucky sometimes. I'm not saying women aren't. I ain't saying that. I'm just saying women are going to be pursued more often than a man. Let's say. Oh my gosh, I'm choking. Did I lose last? Yeah, I did. I can't believe I'm choking this one. Because I want to do with all my power to protect. Come on. Protect. No, kill that stupid. No! Well, moral of the story here is, if you're a woman and you see someone who catches your eye, go up to them and just strike a conversation. Talk about what they're wearing. Talk about something that you saw them do, or just anything. Be like, yo, what up, bruh? As in, just introduce yourself. I guarantee you, if you do that to a man, he is going to think about that for the rest of his day. And on top of that, subscribe. That will also help you talk to a man.